guys ready? Quattro.
Man, that high school's married kicking in for you.
I think that was some song. We ready? Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Downtown Design Review Committee special meeting, December 4th, 2014. We appreciate you all coming on this special day. The first order of business is roll call.
Betsy Brunstetter.
Present.
Gigi Faulkner.
Present.
Charles Ainsworth. Ike Akinwande. Connie Scothorn.
Present.
Richard Tannenbaum. Commission, you have a quorum?
Okay, super. Please turn off your phones, turn them on silent. We have a lot to talk about today. First item, approval of minutes. Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? There are no cases withdrawn, no cases continued. We have one case on the consent docket. Do we have anyone that would like to talk about this, or do we want to go ahead and make a motion? I'll have to recuse myself on this. Okay. Connie is recusing herself.
Well, I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve by Ainsworth. Second. Second by Faulkner. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Connie has recused herself. The motion passes. Thank you very much. And we're moving on to cases for consideration. 301 North Walker. Is the applicant present? Can you come forward? State your name and write your name on the little piece of paper in front of you, please.
Already wrote it. Name is Jason Stewart.
Hi there. You have been here before, or?
I have not.
Okay. Do you want to tell us about, I know we have heard this.
I'm an employee with Graystar Capital. You've heard previously from our general contractor, Camp Construction. I'm
Right.
owner's representative for the property.
Okay. Michael the staff has recommended for continuance. You haven't? Not this one? Okay. So, we've just seen so many different renditions of this building. Can you, did you bring any materials or anything for us to
We did.
see? Okay. Sorry, Michael. Around, please. Sorry. Something went down the road. Yeah, that is right. Okay. You got it. Okay. This one? This color?
Yes.
Like tape. And these are the materials that you've established that you want to use.
Yes.
It's a manufacturer. Okay, well, since this appears to be almost like a new application, do you have a video production for us, or do you want to walk us through the elevations?
Sure, absolutely. And I'll start, I think there was a little confusion in the beginning. Our representative from our general contractor, that's why I'm here today, and we have all the information here. The bulk of the work is the stucco reskin. The entire property is now covered in stucco. The plan is to remove current stucco and reapply stucco. The only major changes will be at this front corner that shows here in the drawing. The Ipe wood that was going around, the Ipe wood sample, you can see in this section and drawing, and also on the sheets it'll be on the front page of that handout. That's the Ipe wood locations. The stone sample that you saw was here at the front corner as well. And then the metal sample that is currently right there, it's at all the street side locations on the gables. And there's also a picture in that pamphlet that shows kind of an example of how that metal looks when installed.
So in the gable, you've got both the arch firestone metal panel and the new Hardie panel lap siding?
Correct. Yeah, any street-facing gable shows the metal siding. The gables that are on the interior courtyards or interior of the property shows to be Hardie siding, and I think it shows in that drawing right there as well.
So the metal, sorry, but I've got to ask these questions. The metal panel, you're showing the elevations just show kind of like a hatch. How is that going to be applied?
It's almost like a brick pattern, almost like the hash shows. I can show you these two panels together if you'd like. They're interlocking panels. From a distance, it's almost going to look like one full sheet of metal. Up close, you will be able to see a seam, if you will, but they're interlocking panels.
So will the panels be that size?
Yes,
Okay.
and they're staggered in a brick pattern.
Okay. Good. So on your Dewey elevation, you've got the metal panel and the lap siding kind of side by side. It looks a little,
Yeah, I think that's the confusion in the drawing. The lap siding, actually, it's inside the courtyard. It's not forward facing the street. If you want, I can get that packet so we can refer to the same page. referring to sheet A1.04?
No, it was sheet. It was the sheet that shows them side by side in the same elevation. And it said Dewey elevation.
Trying to confuse us, they're all the same.
It's A19.
So tell me about your overall concept here. I mean, what are you trying to accomplish? I mean, just gonna.
Well, when we purchased the property, we know the property was far from attractive. We also know that it was ranked one of the ugliest properties in Oklahoma City, and when we purchased it, we weren't exactly excited about that, obviously. We've also had a lot of issues with leaking in the stucco. So the company has decided, obviously, to do a remodel, not only to do the repairs, but also to make it look better while we do it. So anything that's currently stucco is going back stucco, with the minor exceptions that I talked about with the stone and the ipe wood and the metal at the gables and the siding at the gables. Everything else that's stucco is just going back stucco, but it's being torn off, put back on new. Instead of using that texture coat that's on there now, it's just a flat, smooth coat, normal stucco look. I know that's been one of the eyesores that many people have spoke about. So overall, the plan is, our number one goal was to prevent the building from continually leaking and further maintenance problems for us. But while we were spending the money, we also cosmetically want to make the property look a lot better as well, more attractive. I think probably everybody could agree that the previous design from the front was pretty bland. And the different elements that we've added with the metal, the stone, the ipe, and the hardy bring in a lot of different elements that before there were none. All there was stucco, one element. So it changes the overall look, you know. That's the main goal, really, those two things. The interior property, the only major change really is this front corner, the stone and the ipe wood. Throughout the rest of the property, it's just a stucco reskin. Hope that answers your question.
Sure. Tell me about the durability of the materials you're using. I mean, obviously the stone's fairly durable, but how about that wood? Talk to me.
The ipe wood is it's the best similarity, because a lot of people aren't real familiar with ipe wood, but it's a very high density wood. Ipe, I-P-E. Some people call it IPE, some call it ipe. It's from Brazil, actually. It's very similar to teak. It's very expensive wood, about $5 a foot. Definitely not a cheap wood, and it's very, very dense. It's very similar to teak wood. All it requires is a oiling every 5 years. You know, instead of painting it, you put oil on it to protect it. It's the warranty on it, 30-year warranty on the ipe wood. It's a natural wood, though. It's going to do as well as it's, you know, maintained, I'll be honest with you. But Graystar has done well in all their properties to maintain. We wouldn't be spending the money on it if we weren't willing to do that. So
Ipe is a really good product.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm really excited about what you guys are doing. I think this project was really an eyesore downtown. And
I'm glad we agree.
And so I'm very excited about what you're doing with this thing. And I'll defer to Betsy to ask any further questions.
Great at asking questions. So the only place you're doing this, the El Dorado stone, is at the entry element, is that correct? Or
that's correct, just that front corner.
the renderings do not do, yeah, well, they don't do justice. They don't really tell the story. So I'm.
Well, unfortunately, in this, the stone actually comes out very similar to the brick color, which, as you can tell from the stone sample, it's really not the case. It's
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak to this? Michael, do you have any comments?
No, I did hand Mr. Stewart the elevation you had a question about on North Dewey, where you have both metal and hardy board showing in the gables, and I think he's going to, I think the hardy board is actually an interior elevation that is beyond, I'm not sure.
That's correct. There's a hatch line right in the middle where it says 2. That hatch line, and I understand it's confusing there the way the architect drew it. But what you're seeing there is if you were looking from Dewey Street, you see the metal on the left side, but on the right side, that building actually turns into the property at a 90-degree turn, so it is confusing. I wish I had a better drawing of it as well.
So you're not going to see the hardy panel and the architectural metal from the same viewpoint?
No, when you're at the street side, anything that faces the street. Now, if you look into the property, you'll be able to see it if you look in, but not anything that faces the street. It'd be perpendicular to street view.
I think I'm fine with that. There's a lot of different kinds of materials, so it's important to see where they are.
There is, correct, I
There's a
understand.
lot going on.
It would be helpful, and I'm not finding it anywhere in my packet, to have a site plan and to have the elevations marked off on the site plan. So
there
for
isn't.
future reference, that would be extremely helpful, because that would answer that question. Yes. Do we have a motion?
Sure, I move to approve the application.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Good luck.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yeah, and from now on, if you would come to our staff and tell them what you're doing, because that really caused a little bit of angst.
Well, and I'd like to just say, we'd like to apologize. We were under direction from our general contractor and their project manager that was on site. He's the one that filled out the application, and there was a little miscommunication and confusion in what he was telling us we could move forward with and what we couldn't. He's no longer employed with that company, I should say. His boss is sitting right here, that's why I brought him. So there was definitely some confusion in how this was done, but as you can see, we have everything here, we're on it now, so we appreciate it. Thank you.
We're glad to see the new face.
Good, thank you very much.
Okay, the next item is 18 Northwest 10th Street. Is the applicant present?
Hello, my name is Matt Hinkle with Tyler Media. My address is 12408 Stickney Place in Oklahoma City. And we are here trying to get a certificate of appropriateness for a on-premise sign for the community foundation that involves a digital element. And after many meetings with the Automobile Alley people, we've all come to a consensus of how the sign should look and how big it should be and how it should be dressed, as well as landscaped, and we're just looking for approval.
Okay, Michael, anything?
No, we're recommending approval of the case. It does comply with the regulations that are applicable to signage. There is one issue about being in compliance, but we've provided an explanation in the staff report as to how we feel it does comply. So.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Okay, sorry. The staff report does go into some detail about the compliance with one provision on the sign regulations, and we found it to comply with that regulation, and we're prepared to recommend approval to the committee.
Okay.
Betsy, I don't remember if you were here. This was heard maybe 2 months ago at committee, but there was confusion on if Automobile Alley agreed on the sign, and so it's my understanding, I think everybody's worked that out.
That is
since
correct.
then. Yeah.
Okay. Is there someone representing Automobile Alley that would like to confirm that? Yeah, I do.
This is not exactly the sign that we've agreed on. I think it wasn't, was it not resubmitted? I thought it was. I mean, it's essentially the same, but the one that we've talked about will have red neon on it.
That's the one we have in our packet.
Is that shown? There you go.
Yeah, the red.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're very pleased with it. We're very pleased with the cooperation that they showed in working with us. And so this gives us the red neon at night. During the day, it has their colors. And so we feel like it's a good compromise and fits for the neighborhood.
Okay, excellent.
Okay?
Thanks. Anybody else want to talk about this?
I just think it's a very nice improvement over the first sign that we saw, so thank you all for working on this.
Sure.
And
Okay. Do you have a motion?
I move to approve.
A second. All in favor? Any opposed? Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys for coming out today.
Okay. The next item is 311 Southwest 5th Street. Is the applicant present?
Good morning. My name's Scott Copeland. I live at 11861 Southwest 1st, and I'm the project manager for the MAPS office for this project.
Okay.
I also, if you have any questions on architecture, I have Zach Wood with Butzer Gardner Architects here, if you have any questions on the architecture. So,
Okay. Michael?
These are the two of the existing Salvation Army buildings at 311 Southwest 5th Street. We've outlined for you in the staff report some concerns we have with respect to the applicable guidelines with respect to preserving existing structures. However, in light of the fact that this site is indeed part of the Quarter Shore Park, and the Salvation Army has abandoned the facilities and moved into their new facilities over near Penn and 10th, we're recognizing the fact that the park is going forward and cannot use these structures, and we're recommending approval to the committee of the demolition.
Okay. Just knowing that we cannot make light of a demolition, especially of a relatively nice building, I would like to have the architect come forward and talk about what this is, maybe why that can't be entered into the park design. I know that's probably...
My name is Zach Woods. I'm with Butzer Gardner Architects. We're at 718 West Sheridan, Oklahoma City. First of all, our firm is very aware and very sensitive to historic buildings. We currently office in one. We've saved one. We've finished two tax historic credit projects. We also were part of the saving of the old fourplex in Crown Heights, and then we also have another historic tax credit project in design currently, if not two more. And so we are very sensitive to buildings as we go through them and evaluate them for our clients and for the purpose of what they're going to be served for. So with that said, we have gone through both buildings that are in subject today, and yes, they're both nice buildings. They both do have some issues. Neither one of them are ADA compliant. Both have multiple levels of finished floor elevations that don't meet code. Their square footages are roughly 17,000 and 30,000 square feet. The problem is that they don't fit with the park in a sense of overall square footages. That's a lot of square footage to consume into park programming and park budget, quite frankly. So it's hard for us to justify, even though they are great buildings, the use for the park purpose. They are in the middle of the park. They do ask us to evaluate the security of the park. They are on the perimeter, which would block views into the park for police officers patrolling the perimeter of the park. Usually they're able to see through the park after hours. The buildings are, they're in what I would consider moderate condition, overall, their condition. But again, they just don't support park programming, and they don't support, we don't have enough need for building square footage that could use these buildings, especially when you consider the gem of the park being Union Station. Union Station has more square footage than the park could even imagine using, in a sense of what they need building square footage for. So it's, for us, we can't justify saying keep the buildings architecturally, purely for our client and for the programming of our park. Architecturally, yes, we could find a use for them, just not in a public park.
Okay. Any questions?
Remind me what the time frame is on the park and when that really is going to get underway. And I'm sorry, I'm not better informed on that.
I don't have an exact date to tell you right now, but I will tell you it's going to be approximately about a year from now before we get started on actually implementing what's going to go into the park itself. There will be some work in between that time when it comes to utility work, and we look to start that probably in the next few months.
And the current schedule shows the park completing 2018, 2019, the upper park, north side of I-40.
Right.
So, I mean, we're looking at, 3 years, the upper park could be complete.
So the area that those buildings currently sit in will be what part of the park?
The upper park, and so it's that particular area, if I'm remembering site planning wise, is part of the lake that's being implemented into the park.
Right.
And also there's a there's a dog park in that area, there's the lake, and then there's also what we're calling the boathouse, which is where a boat rental will be for the lake, concessions, food, drinks, restrooms, things like that are park supporting uses, but are a square footage that is a fraction. I mean, I believe it's a 2,000 square foot building that includes storage for boats and equipment, and this is 47,000 square feet of building. And so it's difficult. The larger building, the 30,000 square foot building, is a pretty, it's not very open, so it would be a very enclosed building as well. So there's not a lot of transparency that you like to see in buildings and parks. And also all of its internal spaces are not open to each other. So there's a lot of exterior corridors and awnings that you have to leave one space, go outside and enter another space, which again is another security concern for a park that really shuts down at 11 p.m.
Okay, very good.
So I just wanted to ask if there was any salvage of materials or salvage of architectural features that's going to happen, or are they just going to knock it down?
Good question.
That's not my department. I don't know. Do you have a feel for?
That's a good question. I don't know. I know there's some things inside it that when the demolition guy gets there will be some things that they'll want to save. There's some old seats inside the building, but there's not much to save in the building, I can tell you that.
Like pews in the chapel, is that what you're?
That's in the chapel.
Yeah.
There's some of the old seats there.
There's
I'm
some-
sure they'll want to take those out before they demo the whole
Yeah,
building.
and there do appear to be some cast stone embellishments on the chapel that might.
On the west end, there's some of that, yes.
Yeah.
So have we had any groups oppose this?
Not to our knowledge. Nobody's
Public
approached.
outcry?
Yeah, we have. had
We've been on
some
the
other
busy end of
buildings
that.
have been mentioned.
Yeah,
but these.
not to our knowledge, we haven't received any, I'm looking at Michael and Paula to back me up on this, no emails, no phone calls, letters, nothing.
However, it is important for us to look at every single building, and, the fact that the park is a significant part of Oklahoma City's growth, it seems, and this is where the lake will go, which will be a nice part of the park. I can definitely understand eliminating the buildings, but
I guess part of me somewhere deep inside goes, are we going to tear this down and not do anything?
Yeah.
A la I am, whatever his name was.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I'm sure with the full faith of the credit of the city, this is going to happen, so.
I would agree with you, and I think the MAPS program, I think, has proved that they're going back with what they say. So there will be a park on this site where these buildings are. There's
Right.
no,
And this particular site is a very programmed part of the park.
that's correct.
And
Yes.
it's in the design, approved,
The master plan
ready
has
to
been
go.
approved
The master
already,
plan's
yes.
been approved.
Scott, this is one of the last things to be demoed.
There-
Still, there's
this is
just
the
a-
last- This
a
is the last
handful.
block, and then the other two buildings are the film exchange building and the building just to the north of that. And we're not doing the quite
Yeah,
yet.
which is all on hold.
Right.
And those have been brought up, or I don't know if anybody will come up with those, but.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion? Or is there anyone here, anyone else like to speak to this?
I just hate to make the motion to tear down a building. However, it's the job of this committee to do that, so I make the motion that we approve the application on the basis that project complies, am I looking at the right one? With the downtown district zoning ordinance.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thanks for being here, thanks for coming back.
Thank you, appreciate it. Pardon me? What's
The-
going to happen?
The demolition.
When is it going to happen? Right now, we're in the process of doing all the environmental remediation in the building. As soon as that's done, which will probably take about a month and a half or so, we'll put it out to bid to demo it. So it'll be demoed the next 3 months, give or take.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. We are done with those. Do we have, well, I have a question. Other business. We don't have any communication. We have administrative approvals, which, any highlights? Is anybody building a building that we are not aware of here? Michael?
Not that we're not that we're aware of.
Okay.
No, none of these
We as a
involve,
committee aren't seeing that it's a whole building from scratch. I do notice a new face, and I thought maybe you should be introduced.
This is Justin Brosel. He is one of our other administrative assistants. He's Paula's backup. I know it's hard to fathom that Paula wouldn't ever be at one of your meetings, but it might happen,
She might want to take a
It
vacation.
might happen. So she has been training Justin on what to do. So Paula is still our person, but if she wants to take a break, Justin will be prepared.
Welcome, Justin. Okay, well, with that being said, is anything else? We have a meeting.
Commissioner training next Friday, 8 to 1 at the Cox. We're going to send out a reminder this afternoon. 8 to 1, there's lunch, a full agenda of programming about procedures, protocols, what happens behind the scenes between meetings, so that you guys will understand and be able to communicate to people how it all works and what it means. So next
For all
Friday,
committees?
all committees, all commissions.
I think that's probably true. But do we meet again? Is December 18th.
2 weeks from now.
So that's when we get to say happy holidays. So anyway, we are adjourned, if everybody is in agreement.
In agreement, aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. I doubt they want to keep